focusing on our economic problems, and I think that also means we have to consider looking at how we're conducting foreign policy. And number two, how is our foreign policy working? And I'm not saying to cut and run. I'm not saying, oh, just leave ourselves open to be attacked. Like we're in this other stuff.
That's a reasonable position. That's right.
But we have to consider, number one, the ramifications of our actions there. And number two, we have to look at Egypt. People say, oh, was this a vindication of Bush? No, it's not a vindication of Bush, because what you essentially had is people now taking the responsibility in their own hands. Liberty has to be something that's claimed through self-determination. Egypt, I see, is now finally doing it. Afghanistan is a place that has an 11% literacy rate. So I don't see what we're going to do there. And from what I've seen, I don't think Romney has a position that I can support on that level.
That's a good point. And honestly, Romney's position has not, on that specific issue, has not been really made too clear. And I think he's not a military guy. So again, that's something that I think he's learning as he's going. So and to be fair, that's how Ron Paul's not a military guy either. He does have a clear philosophy. I'll get straight for that. But Romney's open. He's a pragmatic guy, and he's not gonna. He does not put money in stuff that's not gonna.
Wasn't Ron Paul in the army for 5 years?
No, he was. He was, but that's not the same as like a foreign policy person. Does that make sense?
What's a foreign policy person?
Someone, I think Colin Powell is a person who has legitimate foreign policy experience as National Security Advisor, Secretary of State. Someone who was a 4-star general, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, served and overseen. And you can disagree with him or not.
And I think wasn't he pretty opposed? I mean, he as his position, he did do what he was told to do by the president. But I think he had some strong reservations about the actual invasions. If I'm remembering
correctly.
Well,
the Colin Powell doctrine is he did go before the UN famously and talk about the case.
Right. He did his job.
And again with that, that whole region is such a mess. There's no easy answers, and so
right.
To be honest,
and you also,
it's easy to armchair quarterback all the facts and all the intelligence.
And if you look at unintended consequences of our intervention, there's also unintended consequences of immediately leaving. So it is a very difficult question.
It is. It's hard. And again, with Afghanistan, it's like Bush said. And I do agree with him on this. With those things, those are harbor terrorists and those who are actually going to commit the terrorist acts. That was 10 years ago. I understand things have changed.
What I think is we've got to change our strategy. The enemy is not a nation state.
That's for damn sure.
So we cannot invade countries.
Essentially, we're doling out as much money to people that we're philosophically, as Americans, supposed to be opposed to, as we are supposed to allies. I mean, we've been propping up Mubarak in Egypt for 30 years, and now you're going to talk about blowback. We have essentially, we run the risk of creating a breeding ground there for American hatred now. But why? It's not because we're American. It's not because we're free. I mean, to me, that's a child storybook answer that you tell, oh, there's a boogeyman in the
it's an
closet
excuse.
that hates you because you're free. But what you have to look at is these people have been oppressed by Mubarak for 30 years. Most of them just want to claim a life for themselves.
Yes.
But
Jobs.
the way they're going to see us now, right? That's most, that's a universal thing. But now what we run the risk of is we have alienated people who just want to claim liberty in Egypt, because for 30 years we've been propping up their oppressor.
And he's been taking a lot of money for his own fortune as well.
And you know what? That's a good point. And here's another thing too: is all these issues like Africa. That region's such a mess. There's a million things wrong with it in so many different ways. But one of the things is a lot of people are saying, look at Iran, right? They had the Shah, and then they got bad.
Well, that was our meddling, the CIA.
I understand that, but again, and I understand both sides of the issue, and that's one thing that honestly I'm not 100% certain of, because it's not my area of expertise. I'm big on economics, social issues, foreign policy. That's probably my main point, to be honest with you. We need to vote up more on that, as well as read more about the Fed. I like to hear about the Fed, and I think it's a legitimate issue we need to read more about. But I am. Yeah, I'm a business major. So I understand business. It's a dynamic thing.
So it's still happening.
But it is. It's a total mess there. There's no easy answers. And it's easy for us. And again, we weren't the ones that were getting the intelligence briefings every single day, knowing what's going on. We do have a natural interest in having stabilized countries. and we again
We're just
Stalin,
50.
right? We made alliance with Stalin because Hitler was more.
Is that
Not that
Adam
Stalin was
Sandler?
a real sweetheart. We loved him.
The Yale House.
So
I don't think I've ever been
we
to
got to
it.
look at U.S. history here to realize sometimes you
I'm gonna have to figure out.
you focus on your biggest problem, put aside other differences. And that's what we did with Stalin. And as soon as that was over, World War begins. But wow, we have a bigger threat.
No, I haven't.
Put in there. So and as bad as a guy as
I was really trying to find something.
or sometimes I escape. But as bad as a guy as he is, he could be better than the alternative.
I mean,
I was talking about the deal we made with Stalin. And it's a rough world out there, and there's no easy, foreign policy, there's no easy answers, and there's so many layers of problems. And those are hard questions, and you give some good things. I'm not.
What's your name?
Phil Larson.
Craig Dixon.
Yeah, that's what Craig. Yeah.
We're probably gonna have to run.
Sure.
But I will check out the website. Well, I'll tell you though, given the discussion,
No, thank you, sir.
Look at some of those issues. Look at the foreign policy issues. And didn't try to disassociate with some of the crazier fringe people who have shown up here.
No. Ron Paul people I put into, well, there's everyone's their own category, but two basic categories. You guys, and then people that Ward
That's
to
Yeah.
Dick Cheney. And that's not, even if you think
that
he
was
is, that's
absolutely.
uncalled for.
It was absolutely.
It's
It
like
was awesome.
There,
but it was,
there were people. There were people that, and I'm going to be quite honest. I do on some level think he is a war criminal, but I'm not going to go out and yell that. And
Yeah,
I'm going to be civil.
Stop trying to ban you.
what do you gain?
It's disrespectful, and if we're trying
We're
to
trying. We want to be
work
civil. We want to
together
have
and
safe
actually make
discussions.
change.
So I talked to my Yale guys. I'm the state sheriff of North Carolina. They wanted to do something, and I said, "Here's what we're going to do. If you want to do something, you can stand respectfully, turn your back, and walk out of the room. Don't say anything. Don't yell anything. Don't say Ron Paul's name. And that's fine. We can have these discussions at some other place. Yeah, but." You know, we do need to have these dialogues, so I would encourage you to check those things out. I will look at the website.
No, yeah, there's a lot of merit to what you're saying, and I think we leave as friends, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, you guys have a great CPAC.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I will say that Andrew will be voting for me.
Oh yeah. Well, if Obama's your own
But for an entirely different reason.
All right. But again, don't be so hard on the mitt once you see where he's coming from. And again, I understand I don't agree with this healthcare thing. I understand it has flaws, but he said over again from the beginning, it's a Massachusetts thing. He's for repealing Obamacare. He believes it's a state's rights issue. He does believe in that. So you give him that.
That's better than the alternative, what it could be.
It is. It is.
Thanks
Thank you guys so much.